Link. Oh, wow.
Starlight, Starbright.
That's right. Man, what a band that was. A one-hit wonder. Rob Brown in Memphis. It's cold. It is really cold and windy. Brendan Martin, executive producer down in Ocala, Marion County, the horse and limestone capital of the world.
It's not limestone. Not a limestone capital of the world. Just horse capital. I don't think
but
it's
that's what
capital.
makes the horses down there. It's the limestone in the soil, according to Maury Gaston and some people told me that. Or you told me that. But we got a great show today. Jake Wimberly is going to check in from down in Jackson, Mississippi. All things in the Magnolia State. Jacques Doucet, right after that, in Baton Rouge, is going to be on with us talking LSU. Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net, and Vince Ferrara up in Knoxville on the Sports Animal 99.1. Hey, take your iPhone and click on the QR code.
Turn your camera on
to our channel.
And just put it on the QR code. Yeah.
And look, the more of them we get, Brendan, what we're live simultaneously at the same time as Sheriff
simulcasting.
We are simulcasting and on live streaming, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So we do it 5 days a week, 260-something shows a year. And we'll be producing today, right after this, a really cool SECU podcast. On Sewanee, 1899. We're going to talk with Norman Jetmanson, some of the coolest stories that you probably never heard about the history of college football. And we're going to do that, and we'll release that sometime in the next week or so. Talked to Norman last night. But let's crank it up. Get started with Jake Wimberly from ESPN 105.9, the afternoon drive in the bold new city, Jackson, down on the Pearl River, where they got an alligator or two. Jake, I'm sure you would agree that the College Football Playoff Committee got it all right, and everybody in the South is sleeping well at night and feels like the SEC was justly represented. Other than that, what do you have to say?
Well, I think we nailed it. I appreciate you having me on, right? No.
Yes.
Hey, good talk. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. No, hey, how did we not see this coming, though, right? I mean, I think we got and by the way, thanks for having me on, all jokes aside. I think we got excited when we heard 4-team to 12-team playoff, and then we didn't think about anything else. And, I talked about this back during the summer. I said, hey, we're going to get to a point where there's going to be a lot of disappointment with this thing. I mean, there's going to be a lot of – this is not going to go the way people think it's going to go. And here we are, and the big kebab on this whole thing is strength of schedule, strength of schedule, strength of schedule. Well, here's the thing. The 12-team playoff was put into play the way they wanted to do it to be equitable, but there's no way to be equitable in scheduling. There's no way – not even inside the Southeastern Conference. I mean, think about the Southeastern Conference scheduling. I mean, Missouri's schedule, much easier than Florida and Georgia. Ole Miss's schedule much easier than Alabama. So here we are, and now everybody's already starting to talk about 14-team expansion. What do we do to fix it?
Well, we're going to have discussion about 16, and then we're going to have discussion about 24 and 32. I don't know what the absolute number is, but another question, Jake, the SEC championship game. Ticket prices got down below $100 to walk in. That's what Brian Matthews, AuburnSports.com, talked about yesterday. I think the Big 12 championship out in Jerry's world, you could get in for $8. So are we going to turn those? Chuck Oliver had this discussion on his show Monday. It was really good, and we both know and love Chuck about, are they going to turn it into a bowl game? What are we going to do?
I don't know. It depends on how much, TV money they still invest. As long as the TV money is still there, and as long as, you get business and corporations that buy into these things, I think those things will stay. Here's a novel idea, though, and a novel concept is, why not with the 12-team playoff as it sits, you basically do not award, buys to conference champions. I mean, we don't do this in the NCAA tournament, right? So you just get an automatic bid. And then you have, the rankings, and then you seed by the rankings. I mean, to say that, think about this, and no disrespect to Boise, that Boise State is the third seed in the national championship. They're not the third best team, but they're the third seed.
Yeah. Jake, how did that happen? You're a math guy, civil engineer, proud alum of Mississippi State University. How do you get that? That is purely political that happened. That's not using logic at all. I don't think.
No, I don't either. Well, and Greg Sankey spoke on this yesterday or 2 days ago and said, hey, what we're seeing here is not what we planned for. And what he meant by that is when they did this, they said, hey, we're going to do, this was for when we had the Pac-12, we had 5 big conferences, and we're going to take the 4 best champions. I don't think they ever anticipated the Mountain West champion being, for one, I don't think they anticipated the Pac-12 to dissolve. Maybe they did. And then 2, that the Big 12 and the Mountain West would be the teams that would be 3 and 4. So, this whole thing, and Sankey even said this, he said, hey, look, and I'm paraphrasing, we've got to have a fix to this. There's so many things moving parts here. One, you've got the bracket and the way the bracket is set up. The committee didn't do this. Commissioners, athletic directors, they approved this thing. But then you do have the rankings. And guys, I had an epiphany the other day, and some people may have already talked about this. I'm probably not the only one that thinks this. I saw something come across my X feed. It was the BCS rankings. Like if the BCS rankings were today, there's a group that still runs the BCS rankings out there. They've got the model, and it was side by side with the BCS rankings and the College Football Playoff Committee's rankings. And it was almost identical.
Really?
And I said to myself at that point, the committee is using some sort of model to run their rankings. They are not sitting they are lying to us. They are not sitting in a room, conveying back and forth and so much. I said this on my show, and I've been adamant about this. Yesterday, one of the leads for the College Football Playoff Committee came out and said they're considering using AI next year to help with the rankings. I think they're using it right now.
Well, when we were down the SEC media days, we discussed this with you, but we went to the AI conference for the ESPN and all the guys, the 6 a.m. Last of the conference. But Rob and I were fascinated with this. We learned so much about the emergence of AI and sports, especially college sports, because of the juxtaposition of the university, doing research and AI colliding on campuses, right? So it's like these two things are happening. And so obviously it's going to bleed out to college athletics because they're waving, oh, this is the safety flag. But I agree with you. This has been in play for far longer than people think. And if you are an AI user, because if you're a code writer, if you're a math person, you understand AI can do huge complicated algorithms and all sorts of computations and things that we can't ever imagine. And it only needs raw data to do this and clean in, clean out. And we have a whole nother sport in 5 years.
Yeah. And look, we ran this experiment on my show yesterday in live time. We took Gronk, the AI model on X, and we got it to write it to who are the best teams. We put it in college football. Alabama was back in the playoff, by the way. Roll Tide.
Wow. That's so interesting.
Well, looking at it, and that AI is a big part of this. It's also a big part of everything that you see on X and social media now. All right, so Ward Manuel, what is his background? Is he an athletic director at a SWAC school?
I believe that is correct. I'd have to go back and look. I have not seen his profile in quite a while, so I don't want to speak too deep depth into that. But I mean, he's definitely, athletics director, background in sports, background in commissioner type work.
Okay. I just think that you need to have people that this is what they do, not what they do part-time. I don't want my heart surgeon to be a guy that is, clipping a course on heart surgery. I think, and also, what do we know about the Associated Press poll and the UPI poll historically? The coaches are not watching these other games. They don't they have a lot of free time. So why haven't we learned anything from that, Jake, and put it into use with what we're doing today? It's all politics. It's Ohio State hosting. They're the 4th best team in the Big Ten. Tennessee's the 3rd best team in the toughest league in America. That makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense at all. And you're right. I mean, we know this forever. As long as we've lived, even before we all were alive, college football has been reactive, not proactive. Yeah. It's the greatest sport in the world. I've always said that, but it is the most reactive sport in the world as well. Just think about the bracket. Oregon is the number 1 seed, and they have the toughest road to win the whole thing. They're going to have to either play Ohio State or Tennessee, which is not a given. Then if they win, congratulations, you probably are going to play Texas. And if you win that, you're either going to play probably Notre Dame or Georgia. Penn State lost the Big Ten championship. They have one of the easier roads with a home game against SMU. Then they'll have to play Boise. Yeah. Not saying Boise can't win that game, but the entire thing is absolutely flawed. And I think what you're going to see is, take Oregon, for instance. Let's just say they get dinged in round 2. You're going to see Dan Lanning hit the podium, and the first thing they're going to start talking about is scheduling and the way the bracket is flawed.
Yeah. Well, what I don't understand, Penn State, again, James Franklin, 1-14 against top 5 teams. Now, the other one, Lane Kiffin's a hell of a coach. He's 4-20 against teams that finished with 9 or more wins in a season. That stuff matters. Oregon is the darling of the national media. You think maybe the fact that a lot of schools have Nike contracts? I don't know. I don't think they're the best team in the country. And the best team in the country that's going to win it all, I'm sticking to it, is Georgia. I've maintained all year long they're the best team in the SEC. And because Kirby Smart knows how to get in those kids' heads and get them to give every ounce of Georgia red and black silver blood that they have. That's a coaching staff. If they can do that, Jake, that means to me you're doing the job. Agree?
I do agree with that. And I disagree with you on the Oregon take. I picked Oregon, but it's because I picked Oregon back in March.
I'm not saying they're not good. They're great, but okay.
No. I could make a case for Georgia too, right? Just what you just said. When you talk about Kirby Smart and Georgia and the talent that they have, there is a bit of media love for Oregon right now. And I think, I think it's the look, it's the brand, it's the the mascot is funny. He's always in commercials and this and that. So, there's a little bit of a buildup with Oregon. The one thing I do love about Oregon, I think they do have the best quarterback in the playoff in Dylan Gabriel. I think they've got the best set of receivers. They're very explosive, but again, defensively, they've got some question marks. So I can make a case for Texas. I can make a case for Georgia, and I can make a case for Oregon. I could make a case for Notre Dame, but that'd be a tough case to make to win the thing.
Well, Jake, you look at Notre Dame. They've got a massive following. 70 million plus Catholics. All these new people in America that we don't even know about. They got a massive following. They're always going to have a seat at the table, but they'll never be one of the top 4 because they're not in a conference. Is there, in your opinion, a certain amount of there's this many eyeballs on TV sets in this part of the country and that country? That's why Ohio State and Penn State got positioned where they are?
Oh, I think that's absolutely part of it. I think if I remember correctly, I'd have to go back and dig and find it. The committee spoke on, picking those locations. Obviously, they said weather would be one part of it, which I think they kind of threw that out the window, for this year. But then also, ticket access, ticket sales, TV revenue, a lot of this is going to come into it. So, when you look at the markets, the TV markets, Penn State, you look at, Ohio, the state of Ohio, I think absolutely Notre Dame. Those are massive, massive TV markets, and there's going to be a lot of money made in those ball games.
You start thinking about the money, and I know you just got a couple of minutes. We're going to bring in Jacques Doucet from WAFB Channel 9 in Baton Rouge, talking some LSU and more of this stuff. But obviously TV sets, it makes money. Jake, tell people again before you go how they can follow you, keep up with you. I think Georgia and Oregon end up playing for the national championship. So we will find out on that one. But there's so many questions already. Our conference championship's going to last or whatever. Just kind of take us away if you think they will, or at least there'll be discussions to turn them into a bowl or something. Something's about to change. I feel it.
Yeah. No, real quickly, you can find me on X at Jake Wim. We'll be on today 3 to 6 here in Central Mississippi. If you're coming through Mississippi, we're just turn the dial to 105.9 on the FM dial. You can always stream us on the zone1059.com or find our station on iHeart Radio app, TuneIn Radio app, all the radio apps that are out there. But as far as, I would like to think for at least the next, television cycle, the conference championships are going to stay. I think what they'll look at it ultimately, sadly, is they'll say, hey, monetarily, are these things still worth it? If they are, we'll keep them. And if they're not monetarily worth it, then they won't. And I think money will decide that.
Yeah, I think so too, Jake. Absolutely. Jake, can you take the conference championship games and the bowl games and just take them with you? Will you go? Because I feel like that's I've had about enough of them. No more Weed Whacker bowls, and because I'm covering the Gasparilla Bowl here in a little while, so that's good. So, well, thanks, Jake. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Rob's back, and go ahead, Rob.
Jake, yeah, great stuff as always. You put so much work, folks. Follow this guy. He's really, he's an elite talent. Look forward to having you back on next week.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon, guys. Appreciate it.
Jake is always the best. He's so smart with those numbers.
He does the matrix. And then we got Jacques Doucet. Jacques, we got a bunch of the guys from three of the guys from Lake Charles up here in our hunting club out here. They're loving this. I said, y'all going to cook for us while you're here? And they're going, I don't know. So somebody said they wanted to make gumbo, and one of the guys said, well, just go to Walmart and get some of those shrimp. I said, don't insult those guys. That's like calling Jacques Doucet Jacques Doucet. I mean, get it right. But anyway, you got to get the real shrimp, the crab claws, the bay leaves, or it's not gumbo. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. It's certainly gumbo weather down here in South Louisiana. We're in the 40s this morning, and it's feeling the frigid cool of weather is setting in down here. I'm doing well.
All right, let's talk LSU this season. Your grade, you know that program, two-time Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year, great documentarian. The documentary on Cecil Collins you did is, I believe, winning some awards, and it should. And folks, if you hadn't seen it, you need to watch it. It'll wake you up to the stories of college football. But LSU year 3 under Brian Kelly.
Well, not to toot our own horn, but it did just win a Suncoast Emmy. We found out on Saturday night, and
yes. Awesome.
As bad as you just jokingly mispronounced my name, that's how bad the woman mispronounced it when she announced it the other night. It was
hack job.
I had to listen to it 3 times. I said, did we win? I mean, she even mispronounced Cecil. She called him CCL or something like that. I mean, it was
Jack, look, I BROWNE. You know how many times I've been called Mr. Brownie?
Brownie.
That's awesome.
BRENDEN. No, so we just can't say it. It's just I can't say Brendan. It's Brandon or Brendon.
Yeah.
Writer for a father. What are you gonna do?
I want to hear about this celebration. This is awesome. You won an Emmy for that documentary, and it took you how long to make that documentary? It wasn't easy.
Well, it's 3 years. We worked on it. It's hard to believe that COVID is going to be 5 years old this March or whatever. 2020 is going to be 5 years ago. So I think at the time we were doing a lot of retro stuff because there were no sports to cover. It was so eerie to see college, the high school baseball teams were having senior day in February because they knew they had to end their seasons. And so we started interviewing some people. Booger McFarland said that Cecil Collins was the greatest running back he had ever seen. A few other people said the same. And so I told Darren, who's the great photographer, who, he's won like, I don't know how many Emmys, like 10. And I said, we need to do a documentary before someone else tells his story. And so we were able to do it, be able to get Cecil to talk to us. And we're going to have Cecil and Kevin Falk and a lot of people that participate in the event come to my home for a Christmas party here in a week or so. And so that'll be nice. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to be acknowledged that way. I always say it's not an Emmy like Seinfeld or 60 Minutes, but it's still a nice award for everyone to put in the work.
I'll tell you right now, I watch a lot of TV. You're better than Ezra. You're better than most of those guys. You have depth of knowledge and content, and it really shows. Congratulations. That is awesome because Brendan was in that business for about 20 years. I was in TV for a little while.
You never get out of it.
Yeah, you can't get out of it once you get in it. It's like the mob. Get back in.
It's storytelling at its best. In making a documentary is a lot harder than people think because cutting up all of that footage of interviews and to tell that, to weave the story through, somebody else's, multiple people's lens it's really, it's exciting, it's fun, but it is a ton of work. I mean, it takes 3 years to do something special. I think people get sort of hung off with these one-off, like, oh, we made this documentary about P. Diddy in like 2 seconds. You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of graphics and some B-roll and music and some scary music. But, to really make a great documentary like you have and your team, it's really something special, and you really should be awarded, because you'll never get paid the amount of work you put into it. It is a passion project, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's, when Cecil played, all that stuff's on tape. So you're going back, you're putting tapes in machines, you're looking for him. Okay. Oh, it's like hunting, oh, there's a deer. We got one. Okay, here he is in practice in 1996 or whatever, so that's kind of the process, just going through it and collect. Buying the groceries is the hardest part. Once you start cooking, the editing kind of comes together. At least Darren threw it together like in 3 weeks or something like that. But to get everything you need takes a long time.
Yeah, it does.
What did you think? No, he's there. We got Elon Musk Starlink out there. I just got it installed there in the cherry farm for Rob, and I think it's like a little bit like the dish. We're still working out angles. Rob, you're there on a cloudy day, but Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, just Starlink. Man, we put it on Sunday on top of the house. It should be working, but Jacques, LSU's season with Garrett Nussmeier looked promising early on, but the problems that they had against Southern Cal looked like they resurfaced a lot. What about this, and also this recruiting class that LSU just brought in? How did they do in terms of addressing their needs?
Well, I think they got a lot of defensive linemen. They got 4 defensive linemen. The class finished, I think, 8th nationally in the rankings. At one point, I think they were number 1. A lot of people talking about, not to quote Katy Perry, the ones that got away. Bryce Underwood, the 5-star that went to Michigan. There was a defensive back they lost. There was a couple other guys that they didn't get. I think they addressed their needs, somewhat well. You're heading into a bowl game right now in which you're 31 in the rankings if you count the votes. So it used to be, I thought that if you won your bowl game, that was a good way to move yourself up in the final rankings, create some momentum. But I don't think there's any way LSU is going to be ranked, even if they blow the pants off Baylor. There might be a chance. You're not sure who's playing in the game. It's like I joked a while ago, if I go see Guns N' Roses, Axl and Slash better be up there. It's like,
that's right.
You buy tickets to see LSU, and who's that and who's this, and all these people opt out. Now LSU's done a pretty good job of keeping their guys in the game. Jaden Daniels didn't play last year, but pretty much everyone else did. So, I heard you talking. It's a new time. It's LSU's playing a bowl game in Houston, which when they played Texas Tech in 2015, it was sold out. They had Patrick Mahomes playing for Texas Tech. They had Leonard Fournette playing for LSU. It was a rocking atmosphere. And then when they went back in 2021 and played Kansas State, it was a total dud. Nobody went. LSU, the product they put on the field, they had 40 scholarship players. They had a wide receiver playing quarterback. It was awful. And so I'm just meandering off the topic. You were talking about recruiting, but I'm just talking about, how
it makes sense.
Trying to finish their year here. So Coach Kelly said he was going to sign 25 to 27 freshmen, and he was going to bring in another, I think, 12 transfer portal guys. So that's a total of, 40 new players thereabouts. And then your scholarship is what, 85? So half of your scholarship players will be brand new players next year, which is kind of par for the course.
Yeah. Well, are we going to go to 105 scholarships? Is that what the new number is going to be? And then we used to have 125 counting walk-ons with 85 scholarships. Can you kind of break that down?
I don't know. I don't know how we're going to pay for all this. The NFL, they're still stuck on their stupid 53-man roster. And I think there's 45 that can only be active on game day or something like that. And so we're talking about 103 scholarship players. Your head coach at LSU is making $10 million a year. Your coordinators are making $2 million, $2.5 million. You've got your tradition funds on your tickets, the parking, the concessions, hey, and by the way, give to the Bayou Traditions Fund so we can, at some point people are just like, man, I love college football, but you're really tapping me out here.
It's like, are you ready to do like the old telethons where you get up and you just like do like the dance-a-thons or you can run around or something? I feel like that's where we're getting really like bake sale with this these days, where I felt like it's like, well, I get it, but like, hey, join us for $15 a month. It gets a little bit sort of straight. Do you feel like recruiting, we're talking a lot about, I know recruiting, but it's like gangbusters now. It's not like recruiting in the offseason where who's going to come in. I mean, my God, the transfer portal, right? I mean, Jacques, what is your take on, hey, Florida just lost a huge guy, this is a sign of the times, where highest bidder wins and you just get to go, wherever you want. You think this is good for the game?
Well, it's exciting and good for fans to keep track of, kind of like in the NFL. Who do we get? How we can go get this guy, go get that guy, and can maybe turn your team around quickly. It's not good for like Tulane. Their quarterback Mensa. I mean, he's been a great story. He comes in and plays well, and he enters the portal. It's like you're not gonna stay at Tulane. You got a good story going, and so it's out to the biggest bidder. Tight end that LSU's got named Pimpton. He just entered the portal. So Mason Taylor's going pro. You got a chance to start here at LSU. And if Garrett Nussmeier comes back, you might have a chance to catch a lot of footballs. So why is he entering the portal? Well, highest bidder or whatever the case may be. So, obviously, I mean, a million people have said it, and it's true. It's why Nick Saban got out. The fact that kids fresh out of high school are, taking adults by ransom and how much money can I get and this and that. And I think there's also responsibility to the adults that you're putting. How much pressure you're going to put on Bryce Underwood to be the savior of a program? He's 17 years old and whatever. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is a reach or a stretch, but it's kind of like a childhood actor. How many of these childhood actors are going into movies and then they get older, they can't handle it, things go wrong, and things go off the track. So I think that's a concern as well.
Jacques, you just nailed it. This is something that one of our viewers down in Fort Lauderdale just sent me. Said legendary football coach Lou Holtz was asked to describe the difference between football players today and those of 50 years ago. He answered, simple. Today's athletes talk about privileges and rights. Players 50 years ago talked about obligations and responsibilities. Enough said. And I agree with that. I promise you, Jacques, I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. They agree with us. I wish people would quit thinking that all these kids today are like that. But mine, I even got my 24-year-old to fully fund his Roth IRA this year and buy Palantir. I mean, they don't, I don't know. And this stuff, okay, I'm going to ask you this. The LSU fans, and you're down in Baton Rouge, one of the greatest food cities, by the way, in the world. Every time you come on, I just get hungry. But I know a lot of LSU fans. I go to church with them. I go to mass with them. They are so passionate, and they love everything about LSU. And even though we're frustrated, we still can't get enough of this stuff, can we?
Well, no, it's when you're watching the games themselves, you're not thinking about NIL and transfer portal and all that. And I think last year, the 2 playoff games we had on, was it New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, whatever it was, were 2 beautiful games, awesome games, went down to the wire, great finishes. And then that's why I love the sport. That's why I love the game. I think that, like I've said many times with you, the movie Rudy could have been shot at Florida. It could have been shot at LSU. It could have been shot at Auburn, Alabama, whatever. I'll do anything to run out of that tunnel. I'll be a tackling dummy for 3 years just so I can, wear that uniform one time. And I think those are the things that the fans, I think, feel. I mean, they love LSU football. They can't get enough of a Saturday night in Death Valley and tailgating and all the things that come with it. And they feel like the players should feel the same way to an extent. I even had a kid at LSU the other day who posed a good question. I mean, what is the worth of an assistant coach who says he can recruit? I mean, does that really, how much does that mean these days? I'm a good recruiter. Well, you can recruit a kid for 3 years and then, some guy with a lot of money steps in the 12th hour, writes a check, and you lose the guy to another school. So, buying players and all that, it gets a little gross. And then it's like the UNLV kid, the quarterback, who 4 games in, I'm not playing with you guys anymore. Oh. And they had a great year. So I thought that was beautiful. But
yes, I agree with that. I'm so happy for Barry Odom. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't love college football as much as I used to. I know things have always been going on. I know that guys have been getting cars and money under the table and different things for years. But I would like it to be, hey, I'm going to LSU because I want to be the next Joe Burrow or Jaden Daniels or Leonard Fournette or Tyrann Mathieu or pick your Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, all these great players LSU's produced. Not, hey, I'm going to get paid a lot of money, and if it doesn't work out, oh well, it doesn't work out. And
yeah.
So, anyway.
Well, I was talking to a friend of mine. He asked me this question. He's a Tennessee fanatic, loves him. He goes, "You think if I wrote a check for $500,000, they would let my family and me run out?"
Yeah. Well, I think I agree.
In Ohio
I think we're there.
Yeah, we're there. That's Ohio State is selling, Jacques, practice time. You can pay so you can go watch practice. That's where we are.
Take your cell phones away so you don't tweet any formations or things that you saw or I mean before an LSU game, a lot of great people, but those sidelines are totally packed. I mean, I think they might have 4,000 sideline credentials or something for one of those games this year. And they're down there. They want to see the band, the LSU band, come out and bop, 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 cheer and see them. Team run out of the tunnel and get the hobnob and all that. And so, just more money into the,
Yeah, it is. Carve it up because you got to make money now, right? So everything is a possible revenue stream. We're selling the experience. It's like NASCAR. It's like who wants what? So,
yeah, I mean that is where we're going. Jacques, I know you got a busy day ahead of you. Let people know how they can follow you and keep up with you and what's going on at WAFB Channel 9, and give us one great restaurant nobody knows about in Baton Rouge.
Right.
A hole in the wall.
No pressure, Jacques.
Usually the people would love to go see.
Well, how about go Tiger Mart? It's a gas station right here by the L'Auberge Casino. And if you want to get a great plate lunch, red beans and rice or an etouffee, they got the fattest fried catfish too. I mean, these catfish are on steroids over there. If you want to this is not a sit down and dine thing, but if you want a good get in and get out, go Tiger Mart right here next to L'Auberge Casino off of Nicholson, which is Highway 30.
All right.
So that's a good stop for you. But WAFB.com. My Twitter got hijacked 2 weeks ago. Got hacked.
Whoa.
I'm hoping to get it back. Dummy me. I got something that looked like it came from Twitter. I clicked on it like a dummy and I lost my. So hopefully I get it back soon. But that's
we'll call Leon for you and get it all dialed in for you.
Yeah.
Apparently he's harder to get in touch with than it used to be over there. So hopefully they figure that out.
Yeah,
but and if you want to watch the Cecil versus the Diesel documentary, it's on YouTube. We got state championships this week here in New Orleans in the Superdome. We got several teams that are playing for state titles, and we'll be covering that. And so that's what we're up to down here in Baton Rouge.
Well, congratulations again on winning the Emmy. You are one of the absolute best and always have a spot on this show. And hopefully you can join us again next week. Merry Christmas.
Chuck.
Okay. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Rob. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You bet. Thank you so much. All right, let's head up to, oh my God, he looks like he's in the lodge in the snow in the Boston Mountains of Northwest.
Do you
Arkansas.
need Christmas music, Dudley? Do you need?
Always like.
Here you go, Dudley. Dudley, here you go. I got a little theme music for you, Dudley, for Christmas. Bring it in for you. Ladies and gentlemen, from the frozen tundra up in
of Northwest
the
Arkansas
of Boston, we present Dudley Dawson.
Yeah, the Boston Mountains of Arkansas. No, Dudley, I'm telling you, I'm down here in Memphis. I'm actually over at the farm today. It is really cold, and it's duck season started back up again. It's a great time of the year. Man, we're on a roll, having a lot of fun today. What's happening up in Fayetteville? And I get a lot of people that watch the show. They say, look, every time you got these guests that cover these schools, get them to tell us something about the school we probably have never heard, don't know, that would be really a cool thing for us to talk about at a Christmas party while you're having a Ham's beer. What do we know about Arkansas? And of course, you got basketball kicking off now. You're going to the Liberty Bowl, which I'll be at my 39th Liberty Bowl this year when they play Texas Tech. But call the Hogs for the nation.
how about this? Up until 1989, they didn't play games at night. And then they brought some lights in here in 1990, and now we play a lot of them up here at night. And, I was reminded of that the other day, and I got to thinking, you know what? It seems like a long time ago. And then I remember, well, you've been doing this a long time. You did it back when they played day games, like the Cubs and all that. So, but, it's interesting. I don't know if you've heard, but Arkansas is the only team in college football in America that's losing players to the portal.
No one else
that
is.
From the fans. They do.
Yes.
They do. Arkansas has finally found something that is leading the country in this season. And that's right now, more people in the portal than anybody else.
Ooh.
Well, it is. It just drives you. It drives us all crazy. But what about that recruiting class? What did Otis Kirk and the fellow guys that really cover recruiting at Hogs? The Hogs got the offensive line is supposed to be their bread and butter with Sam Pittman. Did they address their needs?
I think they did, and certainly they're going to do more in the portal. They've got a 6'8", 360-pound guy coming in here later this week, an offensive lineman that they feel good about. They know they have to rebuild that offensive line. Josh Braun has moved on. It's one of the things that I think the early class, the high school class, is important. You can't, get things done without them. The big thing they did was flip a tight end and flip Nico's younger brother, Madden, as a quarterback here. He'll be here in January and be able to go after that quarterback spot along with Taylor Green and KJ Jackson. I think that but this portal time from December 9th to December 28th is going to be a big harbinger of whether this team has a chance to move forward next year or whether we do the same thing we did this last year, do the narrative all year. Is he coming? Is he going? Is he staying? I think that the portal is just going to be a huge thing for them, and they got 3 weeks to run it here and see what happens.
Well, Dudley, I see Patrick Kutas in the playoffs. I mean, in the portal. I thought he was completely dialed in as well.
So did apparently Sam Pittman. The quote at the press conference when we were asking him about Patrick Kutas, he said he was going to keep him out that one game so he wouldn't, burn his red shirt. And Pittman says that he asked Patrick that, you're not doing this to go somewhere else. And Patrick said, no, I'm not. And then, he gets in the portal. Now things change. I'm not, getting at Patrick's character or anything like that. From all I hear, he's a great kid, and in my dealings with him, he's been great. But it's one of those things that, as a coach, you can't believe anything you hear from anybody, and things change so quickly. And I don't blame Patrick at all. I mean, you got to do what you think is best for you. But it's, again, I want to repeat that Arkansas is the only school in America that's losing kids to the portal.
Yeah, they are the only one. Let me say real quick something about Winter Timber Outdoors, one of our sponsors in Athens, Alabama. The GPS, buy one, get one. Click your phone on that QR.
QR code. Yeah, click your phone on the QR code. I pick it up, but we're like married, Dudley. It's okay. Be there, Rob? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and Starlink number 9. I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm back.
Yeah, it's like, remember when you're watching satellite like back in the day in the dish, and it gets cloudy and rainy sometimes. It's got to be in a good position. So we'll have to see where you guys put it up on the roof.
Yeah. Well, but
Winter Timbers Outdoor, new sponsor, just opened up a new store. Rob, tell us more about it.
They broke ground on the new store in Auburn, and it should be open by June. It might be open in May, but they've got over 2,000 shotguns, rifles, and handguns in the store, and they've got a really well-trained staff. They know what they're doing. They hunt. They're outdoorsmen, outdoorswomen, and all the shooting sports, duck hunting, which is going on right now, and deer hunting. You can do the double-decker, a double dip, duck hunt in the morning, take a nap, go out and deer hunt in the afternoon. They're a big Sitka dealer. Dixie decoys, all the gear you need, boots, hats, coats, jackets. They've got it all. Deer stands, all the food for your food plots. And they're going to be, again, expanding throughout the Southeastern Conference. Take a picture of that QR code. Get on there. They're a great store. They're a great outfit. Kenny Winter and Dylan Monroe, Winter Timber Outdoors, growing in the SEC footprint. So, Dudley, Vince Ferrara is trying to join us right now, and it's a sunny day. So, boy, Starlink ought to be doing better. Hopefully, I'm not going in and out, but
no, you're not going in and out. We're just hearing you say Starlink like 45 times. So
okay.
Okay. Rob, are you pissed about Starlink? Because we're wondering if you're mad.
I don't know what.
Okay. I should mention it again though. Okay.
Hey, let me sum it up. Let me sum it up. Arkansas's portal things for you. Let me sum it up for you. Yesterday they lost what I thought, as a kid, they had a great opportunity. Braylon Russell to be a great running back here.
Yeah.
3-4 hours later, they got Braylon Russell back. He got in the portal. Apparently didn't like it in there, got back out, and so he's coming back.
Put your right foot in, put your right foot out.
You know what I think the portal's like? When you were a kid, there was that door, or there was that old lady that lived at the end of the street, and you were always afraid to go up and knock on her door. And sometimes you went up there and she was really nice. Sometimes you went up there.
I was always the kid to go up there, though.
Yeah, me too. I was that guy.
I was always looking for trouble. So.
Yeah. All right, got a question for you, Dudley.
Vince Ferrara, that's sexy.
Look at that, Vince. Is that the Smoky Mountains in the background? If you could ever get Vince, I tell you what, if you could ever pull this off, bring Ronnie Millsap on and let him sing Smoky Mountain Rain on this show, we will be really, really excited about that. Vince Ferrara, the sports animal in Knoxville. We're talking about NIL, guys going in the portal for 3 or 4 hours. It's kind of like, kid said he wants to go swimming and he gets in the water and it's too rough or too fast, runs back out of the beach. What's going on up in Knoxville right now, Vince, with the portal and, trying to keep the current team you got? I doubt anybody is bailing as they get ready to go up to Columbus to play Ohio State. I don't call them the Ohio State University. I call them Ohio State or Ohio Tech.
Well, first off, great to be on with you guys. Second of all, if you asked what's going on in Knoxville, I took the background off so I can show you what's going on outside of our window. Hopefully you can see the snowfall.
Yeah,
in Knoxville. It's
coming down. A little dusting.
Yeah, actually,
it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, Vince.
It's coming down really hard.
Not as much as out by my barn here.
Yeah, look outside his barn.
Look at that.
Could we have a little snow music? Paul Schaefer in the band as Letterman, back when late night TV was funny. He would pull that up. That is beautiful background. Right. I like that.
We'll go back to that. But no, nothing. The biggest thing is just 6 guys that announced that they're hitting the portal, and did so. All of them backups. So it is. It's the way of 2024 going into 2025. These are playoff teams that are having players go in the portal and opt not to play in a playoff game. Now, some of them may not have played. Some of them may only play special teams. But still, you would think some of them may not have played at all. But it's still an opportunity to be in a playoff game, and you just never know what happens in front of you.
Yeah.
So no big starters or anything like that to this point. But, in some positions it could impact your depth. They had 2 wide receivers at the portal. It's a position that they've been banged up in, so it could force you into playing more freshmen if need comes in that game if guys aren't healthy. So it can test your depth at this time of the year, but nothing in terms of grades or just straight opt-outs. Just the guys hitting the portal so far.
Well,
as opposed to Arkansas, who's going to the Liberty Bowl, play Texas Tech without. Backup quarterback, starting running back, best wide receiver, a couple of offensive linemen, a couple of defensive linemen, a secondary guy, a linebacker. There are a lot of kids that are going to get use this time to get practice in because they're going to have to play, in the Liberty Bowl. It's unreal the amount of people that are flying out of here and ones that, I think it was it Coach Kiffin yesterday or last couple of days who's saying this is not a great time to have the portal right before the Bowls, but when else are you going to put it? If it's over December 29th, they don't have a choice. They better get going and go visit some other places.
Yeah, what do you guys think about I guess when you got the national, signing day, you got December, it's end of the season. Then we've got this, I feel like there's this hangover of like, oh yeah, we're doing this bowl thing and this conference championship thing, but it kind of doesn't really mean anything, but it does, but it doesn't. You got to play an extra game. Like, do we need to keep conference championship games? Do we need to keep doing this whole thing? Vince, we'll start with you.
Oh yeah. They're definitely going to continue. Look, that's why they made decisions in the committee. They basically picked with the 12 teams. They basically picked the value of the conference championship games versus strength of schedule. If they had not picked SMU, then a lot of people would be like, "Why are we playing these games? SMU should have just sat out." And that devalues those games. Now, when they expand, that's a different conversation. But as it sits right now, they still have meaning. And look, everybody that I watched play was playing like everything was on the line. So I didn't have a problem with those games, and they were entertaining, and people watched them. So I don't think they're going away because the conferences are the ones that are feeding into the committee. So they're going to protect them best they can. And another timing aspect of it is so difficult. It's not just that, in the way and deciding not to play them. It's these kids have to get their spots while they can. Now everything is, they're having to make their business decisions of, if I wait to experience this with my team, I may not have very many spots available for me to go to because everything is ramped up now. And then some of these schools start their semester in early January. Ohio State is in that boat. Interestingly, Ohio State has the only player that I've heard, maybe there's others, that has a player that announced they're going in the portal, but they were going to finish out their season with their team. Devin Brown, backup quarterback at Ohio State, he said he is staying with Ohio State till the end of the year. That's different than what a lot of other guys are doing, but not everyone is on board with that. Like the coach would have to be. It depends on how important you are, I think. And look, they also get an extra 5 days at the end. When your season ends, you get an extra 5 days to decide if you want to go in the portal. So that is also an option for kids. But then even then, like we're talking about, are a lot of the spots gone at that point? Yeah.
Dudley.
Joey McGuire, the tech coach at Texas Tech, is allowing his players that are in the portal to go ahead and play. He feels like it's continuation of the season. So you've got Arkansas fans already griping about, he's going to let his portal guy play, but our portal guys are not going to play. And, it's just, something else to gripe about. But it is different how some people go about it. But there's far more people who are opting out, finding their spots than there are, deciding to help out their team one last time.
Would you? I don't think I'd feel comfortable having guys on my sidelines that are not all in. That's that backup quarterback at Ohio State, Vince. Mm-hmm. It sounds like he just wants to get a ring if they win the whole thing and then just bail on his teammates. I don't know. That's frustrating.
Quarterbacks is a little different, Rob. I mean, there's only one guy is going to get to play, Yeah, I know. So I understand those guys trying to find better situations because, it's not like three wide receivers where you have numerically better chance to get some playing time. So I get that a little bit. I wish they wouldn't move around as much. I mean, TJ Finley is looking for his fifth school now. so it can get way out of hand. But look, Ryan Day had to agree to that. So it depends on who the player is. If he doesn't have a better backup quarterback, you're going to kind of deal with it. So who knows? Maybe it messes up their chemistry. Maybe it doesn't. All the Tennessee players that were asked about it yesterday, and there'll be more today, they're like, look, everybody's making their own decision. We don't hold it against them if they're staying, if they're going, because a lot of them hadn't heard what Tennessee players are doing. Just like, hey, it's their own personal decision. We support them, whatever they decide to do. And I'm guessing that at Ohio State, it's something that Ryan Day probably gauged and said, look, it's not going to mess things up if he sticks around.
Yeah. All right, let's address this, guys. I think the most overrated narrative being floated out there is, how are these Southern teams going to handle the frigid tundra of Ohio State and Penn State? I just checked. Hold on. There were no blizzards this season, no big snowfalls. There wasn't anything. And Tennessee's got players from all over the country, and Knoxville gets pretty cold up there in the mountains.
No, right now.
Yeah, you get a lot of snow, and I think this is complete. It's just a narrative they're trying to do to scare. I think Dudley and Vince and Brendan, I think Tennessee and SMU will embrace playing in that cold weather. I would love it as a player. I love snow. Let me say something real quick about Landers Ford, especially if it snows.
I hate snow. Thank you.
I love it. But you're going to need a 4-wheel drive to get around.
You didn't grow up in Colorado. No thanks.
I know you got a lot of it, but I love it when we get it here. LandersFordMemphis.com, the #1 Ford dealership in the Mid-South, open Monday through Saturday. Service department kicks off at 7 a.m., open till 6 p.m. Sales department for cars, trucks, and SUVs, 8 a.m., 7 p.m. Tell you what they'll do in the service department. They will come pick you up at your home or at your office and bring you in. They treat you like no other dealership, okay? #1 in the Mid-South for a lot of reasons. They are committed. Their name is on 6 stadiums, Collierville, Houston. They're involved at CBHS. They're involved all over. St. Jude, presenting sponsor of the Touchdown Club of Memphis. Scan that QR code with your cellular phone. They're great people to work with. Ask for the general manager, Brad Bellamy. He's there to serve you, their staff, Don Kitchens, Ken Ritchie, the whole team out there. They've been in the car and truck business for a long time, and you get out there, you'll know why they're here today. If you didn't buy your last vehicle from Landers, their motto is true. You probably paid too much, and they're right down the street from another one of our sponsors, Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Hewlett & Dunn does a lot of great stuff. Again, take a picture of that QR code, do it, and go out there and see Charles Hall, Raven, JM, Squidward, Charles's wife, Laura. Men's and women's clothing. They're great. Not many places do this. You'll have a personal clothier out there. Charles, JM, Raven. My wife wants something. Raven picks it out, knows her size, has everything she needs when she gets in there. I can go by there and pick something up. Go to the website, hewlettandunn.com, and that'll get you an idea of what they've got. Over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's boots, Filson luggage, STS luggage, great-looking purses, great-looking women's dresses. They sell Barber, Duckhead. They've got so much to see out there and buy. Open every day of the week through Christmas, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Sundays, noon till 5. And want to say something about Tom Martin's Body Shop. Tom Martin's Body Shop, G.E. Patterson, B.B. King, downtown Memphis. They make it so easy. If you've been smashed, your kid borrowed your car, your wife tried to avoid hitting a dog and took out a telephone pole. That happened to me twice in 3 weeks. Crazy. They'll fix the vehicles. They've got an unbelievable staff. They've been there over 40 years. Tom Martin's Body Shop, downtown Memphis. And again, also the great folks that you look at, if you're looking to buy a hunting dog, and we're going to bring Chris Aiken on here in the next few days, Web-Footed Kennels, Jonesboro, Arkansas. It's cold out there. Treat your dog. They are professional athletes. Web-Footed Kennels, Jonesboro, Arkansas. Chris Aiken. They train year-round, hunt test, AKC, UKC. The best hunting dogs in America live in the house. They're great family members and companions. Okay, but for both of y'all, you look at the weather. We're going to hear about that. We always hear about, I can't wait to get that team from up north down here in the south in September. And what happens? We have a cold front come through, and it's 67 degrees. If you're worrying about the weather, Dudley, don't you think that's a distraction? It's really a non-factor.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to play that big a part. First of all, the kids will take their shirts off and go out there during pregame and act like they're, it doesn't bother us at all. Then they'll go in, put their long sleeve shirts back on. Then they'll put their hoodie thing on under their helmet. Then they'll put on their gloves. Then they'll go sit on their heated benches that they travel with, no matter where it's at. They'll be fine. And they'll go out there and, and play 3 or 4 downs. If it's an extended drive, it might be 7 to 9 plays. And somehow they'll make it through. I think they're going to be okay.
Vince, I agree.
Yeah, it was cold in Nashville when I was there last Saturday, or I guess 2 Saturdays ago. And for the regular season finale, it was in the upper 30s. Now the sun was out, so that helps you. That's not going to be the case specifically for Tennessee and Columbus. And so, yeah, that can help. That can be a factor too. But, like I mentioned, snow's falling. It's in the low 30s right now. I mean, I don't know if Tennessee is practicing outside. Josh Apple said they would, but this would be a great way to, one, get some work on it. But here's another factor. They don't want to tear up their fields. Like if they were to practice in this, it would tear up their fields. What is the field condition to begin with? So they may be forced to go inside, but I don't think it's a big deal. I was worried about Tennessee's wide receivers dropping more passes in Nashville in the cold, and they didn't. So it's been in the 30s and even in the teens some mornings for a while. So I don't expect it, short of the wind being crazy or even snow. That's not in the forecast for Columbus. I don't know that it is for any of those games, to be honest with you. It's just colder than they're used to. So I do think too much is being made of it right now.
Yeah, I'd agree. A couple of questions I want to.
Apparently, there's some stuff that can help you warm up during the game.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that they'll find the opportunities to take advantage of those now.
Yeah, and I agree. And look, I want to ask y'all a question, both of y'all.
What are you talking about, Dudley?
Those hand warmer things. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey,
helps me grab that Yukon Jack.
Yeah. Hey, one of my friends that started at right tackle for Auburn for 3 years on the offensive line. One of his teammates had agoraphobia. He was deathly afraid of large crowds, but he was a starting offensive lineman for 3 years. At halftime, in his locker, home or away, he had a pint of Hennessy, and he would chug some of that to calm his nerves at halftime.
Hey, that's where it was cool, too.
That's right. Yeah. So, all right, question from Blind.
I drink on this show. I mean,
I feel like I should sometimes. I get so
drink
nervous.
on the show, but before the show.
Do y'all think Kirby Smart was justified in calling out SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey and his staff for sending Georgia on the road for so many difficult away games this season? Just a quick, cursory yes or no or whatever from we'll start with Vince Ferrara and then go to Dudley Dawson.
Yeah, I don't think it's a huge deal, but it's going to flip next year. Those games are going to end up being at home for them. So I look, he felt like it was a tough schedule. It was, but Greg Sankey didn't sit there and say we gotta stick it to Georgia. So I'm not a big conspiracy theorist from that standpoint. It'll even out next year. So yeah, he shouldn't have done it, but I don't think anything's going to come of it.
Great coach, great guy. The Crimea River.
Yeah. Well, and I think Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football because he can connect to his players on another level. Vince, people are talking about Tennessee at Ohio State. Here's what I think is going to be said. As this crowd of some 106,000 at the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio, stands, I think a lot of them are in shock as Tennessee wins this one 24-14 and script Ohio with checkerboard orange and white. That's my prediction. That Tennessee goes up there and wins. And look, Ohio State's a hell of a team. I do not hate Ohio State. I just think Tennessee, with their defensive front and their running game, is going to be more than Ohio State can handle. I think they're really good. And Dudley, I want your thoughts on that. But Vince, I see Tennessee winning, and I see Nico. He doesn't have meltdown games. He's getting better. He has not even come close to peaking yet. Yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that quarterback battle is very important for this game. Nico, who is slowly ascending and playing well, versus Will Howard, who is a dual threat guy. You got to contain him in the pocket, but it isn't always accurate. And we had Matt Sims on, a former Tennessee quarterback, analyst on SiriusXM this morning, and he was saying that he thinks Tim Banks should change up the looks because Michigan was giving him a lot of different pre-snap looks, and he was kind of hesitating a little bit and not getting the ball out on time. So you can do that with Will Howard, inconsistent with the pass game. They have elite receivers, but I think that quarterback battle is, if it goes Tennessee's way, that will be big. And then the line of scrimmage, for sure. Tennessee's got a great front. And then Ohio State's been banged up and having a lot of moving pieces on their offensive line as well. Can they use that to their advantage? Flip side, Tennessee's got to be able to block Ohio State. That front seven, man, they can get after the quarterback for sure. So they had some high round draft picks in that group. So Tennessee's offensive tackles have been better as the year has gone on. They're going to have to be good in that game too. So yeah, there's some things that are potential positives for the Vols for sure.
I think it's going to be a great game. I am excited to see the specialty uniform that Tennessee is wearing for this game. Apparently maize, blue, and orange.
That's right.
What? Are you serious?
No, I'm not serious.
It's a great video that was out there. Their social media put out a video.
I feel like Clark, cousin Eddie. Are you serious, Clark? I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know what's full, and so am I. I think that I think it's going to be a great game between two great teams. And it's always going to be about turnovers. In big games, in small games, I think it's all going to be about turnovers, how you play that day. But here's the thing: I've suddenly realized I've got to learn how to say Nico's last name because now his brother's going to be here.
That's right.
Maliava.
Yeah.
Rob knows.
Maliava.
Easy for you to say. Thank God there's no S's in there for me.
And you can handle Madden.
Yeah.
Yeah. And real quick on Michigan, Vols fans are looking at that Michigan game for Ohio State being 3 touchdown favorites and losing that game at home and thinking, oh, well, we're going to beat them. College football, just a reminder, PSA, every week is different. The matchups are different. The motivation is different. All those kind of things are different. Ohio State's big issue, their big hurdle has been Michigan. They don't play Michigan this week. That was a video that Tennessee put out where their regular colors morphed into the maize and blue, the Michigan helmet. Yeah. Very, very cool little troll by Tennessee. But they play different against everybody that's not Michigan. So I think some fans are assuming it's going to be a little bit easier and they're more flawed than they are. There's still a ton of 5-star talent on that roster. So I expect it to be a really good game. Defense, run game, travels, and that's something that I think gives Tennessee a really good shot.
That's what I'm basing everything on is the defense, travels, running game, and Nico being good enough to do it. Before we go, I want to ask you real quick, Dudley. I promised we talk a little bit of SEC basketball today. The regular season.
Are they flexing or what? Is the league flexing or what?
Yeah. I mean, when you've got, look at the coaches 1 through 16. How about Missouri beating Kansas last week? Look at Florida. Good God, Florida coming on. You look at Rick Barnes, John Calipari at Arkansas. My God, I'm telling you, people. Fayetteville, get up to Fayetteville. Go to a game up there. If you're a Hog fan or if you're a fan of just go to a game up there. That is an awesome place. Knoxville, same thing. Get to these college towns and go see what it makes this conference so special. But Dudley, kind of give us a cursory update. And as I talk to you, I think about over in Grubbs being at Blue Jays right now for breakfast. Chris Aiken and his crew, I'm sure, are there right now, having already limited out from duck hunting over there in Grubbs. And get that peanut butter pie, guys, it weighs 10 pounds. It's got a meringue on it that thick. Oh, my God. It'll knock you out. It'll put you in a sugar coma. But
it's part of the reason. Dudley. It's part of the reason I'm thick.
That's right. Dudley's all muscle. But Dudley, kind of give us a quick update on what's going on with the basketball Hogs.
It's not thick. It's girthy.
Yeah, obviously big win for them last night in New York City at Madison Square Garden. They managed to fall down 15, and everybody thought, well, here they go again.
Yeah.
Against a quality team. And I say again, they're 8-2, so it's not as if they've played badly. But they come back, get an 18-point lead, hold on at the end. It was what the State's fans needed. With the way that the portal and all that's going, Coach Cal made a big, I thought a very accurate quote. You better win your home games in the SEC this year. You can't afford to lose a home game or two, or you're going to find yourself not competing for the title, because it's going to be absolutely tough to win road games.
Yeah. Vince, along that line, I think a lot of the studs that used to leave the deep South and go to some of those ACC schools further north, they're staying home. Is that why you think the SEC has gained so much ground? And SEC, Big 12, I think, are the two best conferences in America. But specifically, let's address the checkerboard orange and white basket Vols.
Yeah, the number one team in the country.
Yeah.
And this is the 6th week all time that Tennessee's been number one. 5 of the 6 have been under Rick Barnes.
Yeah.
And 1 week under Bruce Pearl. So
But Vince, they always say that he's a great coach. I mean, yes, he's had some losses in the NCAA tournament, but they don't realize what they have there.
Yeah. I mean, for some of the fan base, I think last year getting to the Elite Eight a little bit farther run, that helped a little bit kind of quiet those detractors. I mean, there's people that when he was first hired thought he was rocking chair Rick, and he was just taking one tour through the league, maybe 2, just to on his way to retirement. And those people haven't changed their perception of him because he hasn't had the payoff of Final Four national championship. They took another step last year. This team is certainly capable of winning it all, obviously, this year. The league, as far as why the league is better, Rob, I think it starts with coaching. I think the talent you mentioned with guys staying in the South, and I think the SEC is doing a great job with the portal and from the mid-majors. I mean, look at Chaz Lanier. He's got himself another Dalton Connect type of prolific scorer while still improving the rest of the roster. I think that's the thing with Tennessee is they're better and more versatile beyond their top scorer. They had huge droughts in games where it was Dalton Connect and maybe one other player and then a bunch of guys, scoring 4 points. They have a lot more options and weapons while they can still D up. But the league, no doubt about it, is just absolutely dominant across the board. And it sucks for the rest of college athletics because they thought at least we had basketball where we can dominate the SEC and have them not be number one. Pretty much every other sport is dominated by the SEC, and they're taking over hoops too. Even on the women's side, the SEC won that challenge also. Yeah,
and marched into New York City 1-2 and said bye.
Right. Peace. Jonas Adu, former Vol there with Arkansas.
He's starting to get healthy and play more minutes. And when him and John L. Davis are fully healthy and going, I think that's going to make Arkansas even better.
And Rob Dudley knows this. First SEC game, Arkansas, Tennessee, Calipari, Adu, Vols, be a beautiful thing.
It is, Dudley. Yeah, you're right. And then take us out. We'll wrap it up after that. That is what a deal. We go late January for college football, but early January.
Oh, we got Starlink farts. So Rob's done such a good job hanging with it. I really got to give him credit. He's really worked hard with this. But we made it to the end.
Hey, doesn't it look like he's put a lot of thought in what he was about?
It does. It's very pensive right now. But it's really clear though, right? It's like we'll get it worked out.
Who's flashing in and out like on the Jetsons or something.
Poor Rob. He's such a trooper. Rob is really one of the great guys. He calls me every day. He's like, we've raised so much money for the Stories for Tots. We've raised too much money, and we got to tell him to stop giving us money because Rob's got everybody in the world doing this stuff. He's about the biggest heart you've ever met.
So tell that story again. He did what?
Yeah, he did the what with the what? He's like, tell me again. All right. Well, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and try to take Rob, you there? One more time. We here, Rob Brown? Oh, no. All right, gentlemen.
Seems a little less sure about
less sure. So, gentlemen, I want to wish you Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you soon before Christmas. Rob, are you there? Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
Hey, welcome
I'm
back
here.
to the world.
Yeah,
you look really good though.
I got off of Starlink,
Sexy.
so it's working now. I don't know what I'm paying for. But bottom line, guys, it's going to be an incredible basketball year, and you guys have fun digging out of the snow up there. Dudley looks like he's snowed in. Vince, the city is shut down. It's come to a standstill. But, hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Do what you can to help other people. The stronger you are, the more you can do for other people. I want to commend all the people that have contributed to my wife Audrey's Christmas fund for these kids over here in Parkin, Arkansas. She's going to send you pictures of these kids, the shoes and the coats. Some of them don't have a winter coat. My wife has a big, big heart. By the way, Vince, she's a Vol for life, and she's checkerboard orange and white. But Dudley, awesome, Hogville.net, Vince Ferrara, the sports animal, executive producer Brendan Martin. Can't get any better. And watch the Buddy Martin Show tonight on this same channel. And we're about to produce a podcast with Norman Jetmanson on Sewanee 1899. It'll be released in the next week. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. We're here to serve.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shopp's health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal. And the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.